Hello. So as usual, I'm going to give everybody a minute to get in before doing anything. I probably won't do a full hour today because I got stuff I've got to be sorting out, but I thought I'd do one because I've actually got a chance to sit down and do a stream today. Right, so hello to everybody just joining. I mean, there's generally not much really a subject of any of the streams, it's just we talk about various things. Oh, okay, so you have a different profile picture because you had the world map one, didn't you? No, I do not take fan mail at all. Especially because that's probably going to have anthrax in or a bomb. Don't really eat either. Try and avoid carbs now quite a lot. If you hate me so much, why are you watching then? Alright, thanks. I'm sort of waiting at the moment for an actual somebody to bring up an interesting subject. Because normally somebody actually starts us off on a subject. Yeah, I've got a bit of canned food. I've said that quite a lot of times. I've got basic prepping stuff, but that's like a week or 2 weeks worth of food and water. I wouldn't go beyond that, because if it goes beyond that, you're in a lot more serious problems. No, never played Roblox or any of those games. When you say pneumatic, do you mean like a PCP air rifle? Because I've never used PCP rifles. I don't like them, I like spring rifles. No, I think I've mentioned quite a lot of times I'm not doing MRE videos, so don't keep asking it. Yeah, I've played Hearts of Iron 4, never got into it though. I played quite a lot of Hearts of Iron 3, but I couldn't really be bothered to relearn all the interfaces again. No, I'm not a doomsday prepper. Yeah, you'd probably get arrested. There's technically no law against it, but that doesn't mean you won't get arrested. I don't know what you mean by PCB rifles. PCP, if you mean pre-charged pneumatic. They can be more accurate. Completely depends on the individual rifle, but you can't run them without using a tank or a sort of compressor, so they're not very practical. With that, we only really get 2.2 long rifle, not 2.2 long rifle, sorry, 22 or 2.2, and 177 air guns in the UK. That's about it. Right, you've got a timeout warning for that, Justin. Mention it again, you'll be banned. Because that's totally illegal what you're on about. I have a riot helmet coming, Shackleton, at some point. I was hoping it would come today, but the tracking info doesn't seem to be updated on it, so I bet it'll come tomorrow, and I bet it'll come when I have to go out for a few minutes and I'll miss the courier. Oh, China's economy is falling apart as far as I can tell. No, it's in the description. As I said, read that rather than keep bothering me about stuff like that. Probably Stalker. Even though I don't know that would be really considered post-apocalypse, would it? Because it's not like an apocalyptic world-ending event. It's just the zone after all the stuff. Is that a channel, Crispy Boy? If so, I've never seen it. Or is it a company? I played Dead Space. It was alright. I haven't played any of the sequels. Yeah, I play piano, not WoW. I've quite a few other instruments as well that never really see the light of day that I'll get out and mess about with now and then, but I can't really be. Yeah, that gets asked every stream as well. No, because in the UK you can only rent guns, you can't really own them, and I doubt they'd give me a license in the first place. But assuming they did, they'd look at one of my videos, somebody would report me for something I say in them, and then that'll be my guns gone. So, no, I'm never really interested in getting a license with how the UK law is at the moment. In the UK we can't really have replicas, sadly. Because they're classed under the Violent Crime Reduction Act. So I could buy a deactivated gun and that would be fine, but I couldn't buy a replica gun. If it's a fit carrier bag, yeah, it would stop chemicals splashing you. I mean, you can in theory make an NBC suit out of bin bags and duct tape. So, you know, that would kind of work. Not that I'd really be bothered to do that myself, but the thing is about every mask. I don't know if this is in the FAQ because I'm gonna have to definitely add it in if it isn't. But with pretty much any mask people ask me about, if I see one cheap enough that it's at a good price, I'll get one and do a video on it. Otherwise, no. Because there's lots of masks that, yeah, they'd be cool to own, but I'm not spending stupid amounts of money on them. Because obviously I'm not really sponsored to review masks or anything like that, so it's not like one of those big channels where you can just get companies to send you their products. I've had very, very few offers to do reviews of actual, you know, things like that. So it's not like the big computer channels where they get paid to, like, review graphics cards or anything like that. No, I'd have to shell out all my own money on the stuff. I did a video on that. Why don't you watch it? No, I've got a Patreon, so if people want to, they can support me on Patreon, but otherwise, like I said, I don't accept stuff sent to me, because it's all going to end in tears if that happens. Finish M61 easily. Hello. Well, if it says working gas masks, it means in theory it works, doesn't it? There's not really much to say. It's either it's defective or it's working, so it's working. Totally depends, Crispy Boy. Watch my videos on mask prices. And depends where you are in the world, what's available on the market, shipping and postage prices. I hate Apple products, so Android obviously. The only Apple thing I've got that's decent, and they don't make it anymore, is the old iPods, like the iPod Classics, or whatever you'd call it, the big chunky iPod, where you actually got loads and loads of storage on there and really good battery life. Every Apple thing since then is basically a scam. No, Dash Boy, no I don't. probably a C7. It depends if you mean how much I've paid for it or how much it's worth on the market. XM28 isn't actually worth as much as a C7 on market value, but I paid more for it. Yes, obviously, crispy boy, I do, because I'm not a frail soy boy. Just doing a lot of archery and crossbow shooting keeps you in pretty good strength, though, because there's a lot of people I know, and they come over, I get them to try and shoot my crossbows, and they can't manage it. So that's quite funny, they can't load them. Yeah, I've shot guns before, Jade Any, but not recently at all. And pretty boring things like a single barrel, I think probably 410 shotgun, and a 22 long rifle bolt gun. That was years and years and years ago. Early 50s Shackleton. So they were maybe in production for a couple of years before being recycled. I've been attacked before, yeah, and had knives pulled on me and whatever else. That's why I've always said before in that sort of stab video on the Stab Proof Vest, you know, I had really good reason to use it. I wouldn't find an AK in a trash can, would I? That's probably just because I'm putting on weight in a healthy way, but because I'm chronically ill I can lose weight really quickly as well, which is dangerous. So I want a no carb diet now to see, or very reduced carb diet to see if that actually helps at all, because it supposedly should, but we'll see. No, sharpest knife I have is probably just one of my sheath knives. It doesn't really matter how sharp a knife is. Stucker, sophistry, JU87, the B2 because it had the siren on it. Well, you're trying to buy weed from them, you shouldn't have been doing that then, should you? Or do you mean they came up to you and offered you weed and then you didn't buy it, so they threatened you with a knife? Well, yeah, it gives you better field of view. Because I've not got a C4, I can't tell you how blurry or whatever else it is, but it's to give better field of view. You use your CD key that came with it to obviously reinstall it. Right, bye. I don't have any illegal knives. Get a really good quality rubber, or yeah, like a really good quality rubber NBC suit for $100, I'd say. Lee Enfield, some guy you hate. I haven't actually. I've got the was it number 3 Mark 1? Or number 1 Mark 3, whichever version it is on my wall. That's deactivated suddenly, but the number 4 one's the famous one. I use OBS Studio. Yeah, I've done videos on Crispy Boy. Wow, it's a monocular, not goggles, but yeah. Is a nightstick a baton? Or a truncheon? Contact Sony support then. I'm not your technical advice person, to be honest. The L1 suit, weirdly enough, because it's 2 parts, so you've got, you know, like the trousers and the hood are separate, or the top half and the trousers are separate, which actually makes them a lot, more comfy. But in general, I prefer 2-piece NBC suits because you can wear the trousers and the top separately. But what I could do is I have the fishing waders as my bottom half of the NBC suit, then I just use the top half. because that's a more sort of robust way of doing it, and fishing waders are more comfy than NBC suit trousers. But you could make your own NBC suit at home by basically just using rubber, like fishing waders with a really good rubber raincoat. That's what I was just sort of saying, that you can do. You don't even need to modify them if you buy a good raincoat. It's exactly the same thing as an NBC suit because it's thick rubber or sort of plastic material. It's pretty outdated now. I'll probably buy a new PC in about a year's time. It's an FX 9590 processor, which is one of the 8-core AMD ones from a while ago that needs liquid cooling. It's got, I think 16 gig DDR3 RAM, no idea what the clock speed is on the RAM without looking, and an RX 480 in it as the GPU. They introduced that thing a while ago, you never used to, but now it's 5p a bag. But in certain shops you don't have to, depending on what you're buying, then they include the bags with it. I haven't played Siege in ages. I quite like Sledge, even though his mask was stupid. But the thing is, Europe isn't a country. I think a lot of Americans confuse this. Europe is a continent. We have the EU, which is obviously the evil bureaucratic ruling body of a lot of European countries, but in general, Europe is filled with lots of different countries. A bit like how America's filled with different states. Obviously, a thing that applies to one country doesn't apply to others, so yeah, it's a bit vague to say in Europe. It's individual countries in Europe. And that's Eurasia. Russia is Eurasia. Britain's Oceania anyway. It's generally called Eurasia, the part Russia is, because it spans Europe and Asia, so hence Eurasia. I've not played Siege in ages, so I've not looked at any of the stuff in there, but it's one of those games that used to be good, and I think they're just adding too much now. It's ruining the game. Yeah, I've seen Return of the Living Dead. I think I've seen Return of the Living Dead 2 as well. I've watched some proper crap zombie films, I'll tell you that. Yeah, but I don't need anything like that because I have a modern IR seeker sort of thing, so I've done videos of it, so I've got one that can film videos and, you know, takes full AA batteries, so that's a lot more practical than having the massive old like Soviet tanker style night vision. Haven't seen Bridge of Spies. It's been not so Great Britain for quite a long time. Up to them. I don't really know much about the Commonwealth anymore, other than they do the Commonwealth Games every year or every few years, whenever that is. Commando helmet's better than the Mark 7 because it's actually 3A rated, whereas the Mark 7 helmet doesn't have an official ballistic rating, because you know, British helmets are crap. The Mark 7 would be pretty decent, to be honest, but I think they cheaped out, supposedly. So rather than the entire helmet being made of Kevlar, some of it's made of Kevlar and then they just use ballistic nylon elsewhere to cheapen it. If the Scots want independence, they can have it. I don't really care. I'm not a Scot. I have no idea why the Russians would be interested in Sweden, though. Or is that because evil Putin invades everywhere and the Russians are behind everything because we can't think for ourselves, so we blame Russia? Is it because of that reason? Never watched anime at all. I don't watch much Western animation either, weirdly enough. Popcorn's mostly carbs, so I'll have to say no. Never got it to work properly. I liked Arma 2, you know, the game that everybody bought to play DayZ and then never actually played Arma 2, but you know, I like proper Arma 2, not the crappy zombie mod for it. I prefer Blackadder to Mr. Bean. I like some types of cheese. I quite like strong cheddar, and there's that really nice Norwegian, you know, like the Norwegian brown cheese. I'm sure some people know what I'm on about. That's quite nice, but it's quite hard to get in the UK. I need to reinstall Stalker because everything was deleted off my C drive when I had to reinstall Windows not very long ago, because Windows 10 bricked my PC, as it does because it's crap. Well, what I think you're saying, Sheepy, is we need more people with a high IQ in the world, which would always be good, but unfortunately, generally, people with low IQs have more children, which, you know, makes things worse. Yes, I've played Metro. I'd obviously played Metro because I did a video on all the gas masks in Metro. No, I haven't watched any Gordon Ramsay stuff. What do you mean, can I read this? Of course I can read this. Well, Hans, if you think you're going to be shot at, then yes, but also you need to make sure you buy a real one, because the problem is there's so many fake versions of those helmets on the market, that most of the people who think they're getting one end up just getting scammed. No, not going anywhere interesting this year because I had to buy a car. Yeah, I know, Wallace and Gromit. I don't think there is anybody with an IQ lower than 30. Remember, 100 is about the average. Mein Deutsch ist nicht gut. Favourite toy as a kid? I don't actually know, to be honest. I had a PlayStation when I was a kid. I suppose that would be my favourite toy. Why can't they have sausage in Sweden? It doesn't work like that. Have. Yeah, I mean, you have to worry about some of the other things in the filters, but at least, yeah, you I suppose the filters are better than what you're being exposed to at the time. Ideally, you want a mask with safe filters. A burger can have chicken or beef in it, can't it, really? Or even pork. So, burger is not a meat. If you mean beef burger, then probably beef burger, yeah. It's a last resort thing, airsoft, so it's not something you want to use. It's basically, it's better than dying, kind of thing. Read the FAQ, USSR. Dream career. I'd like to live somewhere really remote, like a lighthouse or something like that, and just literally be paid to sit around, you know, in an isolated place. That would be great. Breathing through a GP5 filter is obviously less hazardous, as I've said several times. I did a video on that supercomputer. I said they're crap. if you can't get anything else, then yeah, it's not awful. But, well, it's awful, but it's better than nothing. If you could buy even the cheapest, crappiest surplus mask, they're awful in comparison. The Arctic, because I can put up with the cold better. And assuming you don't mean actually trapped on some sort of ice shelf in the Arctic, you can just walk south if you have a compass until you eventually get to like Norway or Finland with civilization. Never played Fortnite, no. For €5, yeah, that's a great price for any mask. So a 4A1's very good for €5. Because they contain asbestos, USSR, CCCP. So by using one, you're risking getting horrible lung diseases in the future. It's a pretty low risk, but it's still a risk. Well, not really. You wouldn't even be able to really do it with an NBC suit Eagle. Alright, cool. Have you bought any more knives over there? At least you have AC over in Texas. Over here, nobody really has AC. So when we were having a lot of the 30, high 30-degree days, which is getting pretty close to 100 Fahrenheit, that was awful. My favourite TV show was probably Deadwood out of all the TV shows I watched, and then HBO bloody cancelled it before it was finished. Yeah, but we're on about GP5 filters, sheep. We're not on about new filters, we're on about GP5 filters. But thankfully this week, now we've had loads of rain, it's going back to about 20 to the 25 degrees Celsius range, which is pretty manageable. You have to make sure they're giant kitchen knives, Callum, because then they're fine. Not for quite a long time, Eagle, no, due to all the gamma and beta radiation. No, get it then if you want to get it. Yeah, it's good when I get good questions. A lot of the time it's just questions getting asked over and over and over again that I've already answered. Oh, it's not ideal for self-defense, but it's not awful. I take it you mean 22 long rifle. Because if it hits somebody in the vital organ, it will still kill them. It depends what range you're at. At very close range, a knife's obviously better. Yeah, I've seen some of those on eBay a few times recently for around that. I was sort of tempted to get one, but then I thought I'll probably end up breaking it because it looks so fragile. Barbecue ribs. I like fish and chips, but I can't really have chips anymore. I don't know. Why are you asking me such stupid questions, Crispy Boy? Really? Because it looked like it had that really sort of wimpy foil kind of stuff in the eyepieces whenever I've looked at them. I don't know, go see a doctor and get your lungs x-rayed. That would be the most sensible thing to do. No, I've never watched Trailer Park Boys. Weapon Collector, who I watch and comes on these streams quite often, he really likes Trailer Park Boys. Well, as I said, I was discharged with, like, you mean the most recent one, I was discharged with a load of medication to take, and then go back if I had lots of problems, and so far I've been alright. Don't you mean a 357 Magnum, or is there a 375 Magnum as well? Oh, we actually had Action Man in the UK. I never remember G.I. Joe. I like the Action Man game on PS1 that was like a Metal Gear Solid rip-off where you ran around shooting people, but it was okay because apparently you only captured them. Oh, the Tokarev rounds can shoot through Kevlar, can't they? Because of the steel tip on a lot of the old Soviet rounds and the high velocity of the cartridge. Well, military helmets from each military should be designed to work with the gas mask that they're issued with, but lots of them don't. When my new Riot helmet comes, I'll be able to do some tests with that, seeing if it fits certain gas masks, but in general, most helmets don't really fit properly with most gas masks. Oh, hi Vladimir. Well, I'd rather move to America if I had the option to move into the two countries, as I always said, because that means I can just buy a cheap place in the woods somewhere and have a gun. No, butterfly knives are totally illegal in the UK. Well, no, because if a Makarov's small, it's a good gun for concealed carry, isn't it? Where's that then, Shackleton? Because I've never seen them under £400. Saying about that, Yobby, I actually filmed a video because somebody else requested a video like that recently, so in a few days' time there'll be a video that will explain exactly that for you. But M65, American M65 jackets, like the coats, I really like those, because you can take the liner in and out depending on what the weather's like, and they've got loads of pockets in. Other than hitting the dent from the other side, not really sure. Maybe mask pole does, like P3 normalised filters, I don't really know, because most of the time you just buy like something like an FP5 that has a P3 filter in and the carbon filter. Oh, Scottish Highlands aren't cheap, are they? I mean, it's probably cheaper than some parts in the UK, but the UK in general is just fucked on housing prices. Because if you look at the population of the UK compared to landmass, everything's completely unaffordable. And of course the figure of people living there goes up exponentially compared to the amount of houses being built. Yeah, but which model of FAL? I like the L1A1, but there's some other really nice variants of the FAL as well. I quite like bitter, but I also quite like dark rum as well. It depends what I'm in the mood for. Mead's quite nice. You can't own a pistol full stop in the UK unless you mean one of the ones with a really long barrel and like a really long sort of stock extension to it, to the point where it's not a pistol anymore. Only like police and stuff like that can have pistols in the UK. Regular people aren't allowed to own them anymore. So even if you're in a gun club, you can't have a pistol. The supposedly the UK shooting team for the Olympics is really bad simply because of the reason they're not even allowed to practice in the UK with pistols. The closest you can get to having a pistol in the UK is a muzzle loading like musket, or you know, like a muzzle loading black powder revolver. Isn't that because most of the housing sophistry is sort of along the coasts where it's obviously cooler and you've got lots of like foreign buyers buying a lot of the houses? Most of the Polish filters I got were from B-Store, except for one lot or two. The ABE filters I have, the Polish ABE filters, which are also Masterpol ones, I bought from another UK seller when they had some in. It depends where you mean in Oxford, though. The countryside's nice around here, just Oxford city centre's a bit of a shithole. In lots of countries you can brew your own beer legally as long as you're not then selling it, because then there's all the taxes and like quality controls on it. Well, no, because John Baldwin, the L1A1, is easily considered one of the best versions of the FAL made by pretty much anybody, if you look that up. No, I've not brewed alcohol, don't have any reason to. You can buy alcohol cheap enough. Oh, both of those are shit brands, Firewolf. What are you on about? Crappy, watered down lagers, ugh. I've only seen the A1 and the A2. I assume the A3 is slightly better, is it, than the A2, and the A2 didn't fall apart, so I suppose that's good enough. Like I said, I drink bitter, not lager, when I'm drinking beer. As long as it was legal, sure. But as I've said before, I'm not going to bother applying for a firearms license in the UK, because you can only rent the gun. Or you can't easily move to America, as I've said every time. Just totally depends, doesn't it? Yes, you can buy a gun, but you get the gun taken away from you as soon as you do something the police don't like, which is a more and more common occurrence. And you have to keep renewing your firearms license, so you're renting your gun, you do not own it. You pay a load of money to buy the gun, and then you have to keep renting your license to keep the gun, and then you lose the gun as soon as a politician or a policeman decides they don't like you anymore. So you are in fact renting a gun, aren't you? Yeah, you can at least shoot the home invaders though, can't you, in America? In the UK, if you kill a burglar, you might be in serious trouble. No, you can't go in Area 51, can you? It's all fenced off. Like I've said before, if I'm going to the US, it would mostly be like a sightseeing and shooting holiday. Why would they be interested in that? Hello, hello. When I went to both Norway and Finland, I preferred Finland quite a lot to Norway, to be honest. The prices in Norway are absolutely insane on everything. I mean, unless people in Norway earn a massive amount of money, I could not understand how anybody could afford to live there. $80-something mask Sufa, I don't know anymore, because I lost the file where I recorded it when I had to reinstall Windows. But yeah, when I was in holiday in Norway, I ended up just not buying anything, because It was just stupidly expensive. Like, if you compare it to UK prices, like, I'd be, you know, spending a month's salary to just basically be getting stuff like beer and food. So, ended up bringing all my Norwegian money back and just converting it back into pounds. Well, the country is due to oil, but I don't think all the people there necessarily are. This is the problem. SHMS, as I've said lots of times. Well, I was asking somebody how much he made though when I was there, and he said in dollars it would have been about $25,000 to $30,000. And if you're making that yearly, I could not understand how anyone could actually survive on the things. Yeah, but I just like the FAL, so, you know. If you said my favourite rifle is the AK and somebody said, oh, but the AR-15 is more accurate than the AK, that doesn't stop them liking the AK. No, I've never been to Turkey. I don't know if it's possible to go on holiday to Iraq, but personally I wouldn't. Well, they're both currency. If you look online, you can get a real-time conversion of the difference in money between dollars and pounds if you're that interested. As I said before, L1A1 SLR out of rifles. Obviously, if I was in the US and I had the option of buying lots of rifles, then maybe I would. I keep meaning to go to lots like the former Yugoslavia countries because I wanted to go to Serbia and Croatia as well. So it's one of those things I might do at some point, but I'd definitely save up to go to America first. Well, out of the two, free market is better, but I think you do need some control on the market. I'm not full ANCAP. I don't basically think, you know, if you only let companies have monopolies on everything, the world would be a better place. No, because if to get exact replicas, I'd need a UCARA for airsoft guns. For air pistols, I've not seen that many that actually look that close to real pistols. It should be obvious, USSR CCCP, because I like the history of America and I like the fact they've got guns. Yeah, it's a lot better now. As I was saying earlier in the stream, it's cooled down quite a bit. But I like cold weather, not hot weather. Right, I'll give the stream a couple more minutes and I'm going. No, airsoft isn't banned in the UK, it's just you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get a realistic airsoft gun. Yeah, but pretty much all the former Yugoslavian countries are a lot nicer now that obviously there's not a war going on. When you say is the Avon, do you mean the Avon M50? I'm sure the answer to that would be yes. But we actually have quite a lot of gun deaths in the UK now because people are shot with illegal guns, which apparently don't exist according to the politicians. London has a higher murder rate than New York, so I don't think it really matters. Lots of the gun deaths are self-inflicted suicides anyway. Well, I don't really have a favourite airsoft gun because, as I said, I'm not properly into airsoft. Right, yeah, I'll finish this off in a minute. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, they have a lot of gun deaths and grenade deaths in the ghettos in Sweden now. So, I don't think that's necessarily a realistic figure either. well, watching, listening doesn't really matter. That is technically a video, even if it's not animated, because it's classed as a video via YouTube. Right, so yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know when my next stream will be, maybe at the weekend. See you then.